So my question to you now is, who is interviewing who? And you might be thinking, well, I'm a bit confused about that. What do you mean by who is interviewing who? Please let me explain. So let's set this up. Here's an image of a gentleman about to be interviewed by a female reporter. Now, that female reporter may work in Australia, she might work in the US, she may work in Asia or Europe, or she may work in the UK. It doesn't matter. The principles that you're about to hear and learn are the same. So what would have happened was that gentleman may well have sent out a media release and he wanted some media exposure. He then gets the phone call from the particular reporter in shot. She rings him and says, "Hi, I'm so-and-so from channel whatever it is. I'd like to talk to you about your media release and what you want to speak about." He would then say yes. Presumably he would prepare and then they would meet, and that's exactly what's happened here. So what then happens is, and this is obvious, is she would ask him questions and he would answer those questions. But in reality, it's not about what that reporter asks him. It's not about those questions. It's about his responses. So when I put that question to you, who is interviewing who, or who is in charge in this particular interview or in any interview, it needs to be you. It needs to be the person that is being interviewed. That is really, really important. So when you turn up for an interview with the media, you must be in total control mode. You are the one driving the bus. Now I'm going to repeat that. You must be in total control mode. You are the one driving the bus. Now let me explain. That reporter will ask that gentleman a question, and he will respond to that question. But she may ask him a question that is probably not that relevant, or not really relevant, or not significantly relevant to the points that he wants to get across. So presumably he has prepared, and we'll get into preparation in detail in the next chapter, but presumably he has prepared. So he has a number of messages that he would like to get out. He has a number of ideas that he would like to promote. But the point is, if she asks him questions that are slightly off topic, then he is going to feel obliged to answer those questions, which is okay, but in the end it's a waste of time because they're not the messages that he wants to get across. So he may well at the end of that interview think, well, I just spoke to a reporter for 10 minutes and I didn't really say what I wanted to say. And that's not her fault, that's his fault. Because you see, when you prepare your messages, and again, this is really important, I can't emphasize how important this is. When you prepare your messages, it is your responsibility to get those messages and ideas out during the interview. Do not wait for the specific question to come that is going to allow you to answer those questions in the way in which you want to answer those questions. In other words, if you wait for a particular question that correlates to the answer, which is part of your key message, you may be waiting forever because the reporter, you remember, doesn't, or you must understand, doesn't understand the topic anywhere near as well as you do. In fact, the reporter probably doesn't understand the topic at all. You are the expert. That is really important. That is really important. The only person that can say what you want to say is you. The only person that can say what you want to say is you. And you need to take charge of the interview. Now, it doesn't matter what type of interview it is. It doesn't matter whether it's a radio interview, a print interview. It doesn't matter. That's irrelevant. It doesn't matter whether it's a podcast or whether it's a television interview. The number one goal for you is to get your message across, no matter what questions are being asked. Now, let me explain to you how that works. It works through a technique called bridging. Now, I'll give you an example. Let's say, for example, you are a software developer and you have sent a media release out, and you are really keen to get media coverage, and the software product helps people with their finances, for example, okay? Now, let's say the person interviewing you asks this question. Let's say they say, well, how long did it take you to put this software together? Now, in my view, that's not all that a relevant question. It's not an exciting question. It's not a question. I mean, answer the question by all means. No doubt about that. Answer the question, but it's not. It is not one of your key messages. I wouldn't think anyway. So if I was asked that question, this is what I'd do. I would bridge to this. I would say the program's taken me 2 years to develop. However, and this is where you get into your message. However, the important point to make is that after extensive research, we found 80% of people didn't know how to look after their finances. And so the program provides a clear roadmap guiding people through to financial freedom. Now, do you see what I've done there? What I've done is I've graciously answered the question, but I haven't spent much time on that question. I mean, it might have taken you 2 years, it might have taken you 6 months, it might have taken you 3 weeks. That's not the point. The point is you need to get one of your key messages across. And prior to your interview, hopefully, prior to that interview, you would have been thinking to yourself, okay, well, what's the key message here I need to get out? Well, I sort of need to make the point that 80% of people, didn't know how to look after their finances that we researched. And then I want to make the point that the program actually provides a clear roadmap guiding people through to financial freedom. So when that question comes from the reporter, how long has the software taken you to put together? Yeah, okay, not a bad question, but I'm really not interested in that question. So I'll graciously answer it in a short way, and then I will bridge, hence the word bridging, then I will bridge to my message. Do you understand what I'm saying here? And this technique can be used in any situation. In any situation. It doesn't matter. This technique is universally used. You don't just simply say, an important point to make here is that after extensive research, you don't do that. You still need to acknowledge the question that is being asked, but you don't spend much time on it, and then you bridge to your particular message. And hopefully you've got 2 or 3 messages. And then the next question will come, and it may not necessarily be a question that is going to organically allow you to answer or get your second message across. So you bridge again. You answer that question briefly, and then you move to what your second message is, and you do it again for your third message. Now, that's not to say that that reporter hasn't done their homework, and the 3 or 4 questions they ask are going to automatically and organically allow you to answer the question. It may be that the reporter straight off the bat says, how many people, are in a position where they don't know how to look after their finances. Well, that's fine. You just answer that and then keep going and you keep running with that particular message. That's fine. It doesn't work that way all the time. It is not the reporter's interview. It is your interview. You are in charge. The reporter is merely a conduit to your audience. And effectively what you're doing is you're saying, yeah, good question. Just move out of the way for a second, please, Mr. Reporter or Mrs. Reporter, because I have a message to all those who are watching here. Now, you don't, that's metaphorically speaking, but you don't do that physically. But the reporter is merely the conduit to your audience. And of course, this is wonderful. This is a wonderful opportunity, whether it be TV, radio, print, or a podcast, to get your message across. It's brilliant. It's great for your, as we've discussed. It is wonderful for your credibility. It's wonderful for your bottom line. It is wonderful for your branding and to promote your products and your brand and your thoughts as a thought leader or an expert or as an authority. So the most important thing is when you get the opportunity to get in front of the media, then you need to make sure that you do it properly and get your message across. And by doing this, whether it's a television, radio, print or podcast interview, what it means is you are utilising the media to your advantage.